Hello and welcome to a special episode of USA Today's The Excerpt. I'm Taylor Wilson. Con artists are lurking all over. They might be your neighbor or coworker or just a stranger that steps in when you're desperate for help. They prey on vulnerabilities and can be deceptively charming, but how do you spot them? A new book explores just that and gives some tips from someone who found himself at the heart of a con artist manipulation. Here to tell me about his story and some of his tips is author Johnathan Walton, whose new book, Anatomy of a Con Artist, is out now. Thanks for joining me, Johnathan.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to meet you. A pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you on. So let's just start with the origins of your experience with a con artist, if you don't mind. I know it all seems to have started around this swimming pool drama at your apartment complex, correct?
Yes, we have this beautiful Club Med style swimming pool, and we lost it through no fault of our own. The building was in an uproar, 444 units, so probably 800 or 900 residents, angry, wanted the pool back. I take it upon myself, and this is the kind of person I am, and this is what my con artist weaponized against me. I discovered years later. I take it upon myself to post flyers up, galvanize all the residents, get them together. I want to right this wrong. I'm kind of a do-gooder. I have been my whole life. So little did I know that flyer that I posted up simply read, "Hey, missed the pool, want to get it back? Let's band together and do something about it." That was all the information my con artist needed to get into my life, to get into my heart, and to scam me out of close to $100,000 over the course of 4 years.
I mean, what happened next? You don't have to give away the entire book here, but how did things unravel and just kind of progress from there?
Well, yeah, the book is so much more than my
Yeah.
case. I've investigated hundreds of con artists over the past 8 years because after I put mine in jail, even after police turned me away, and I show people how to do that in the book, my case kind of blew up in the press, and I started getting contacted by hundreds and hundreds of victims of other con artists telling me I inspired them, asking, begging for my help. So without knowing any better, I started helping. Some people play golf on the weekends. I hunt con artists. So I started investigating all these cases. But with regard to my case, that's how she got into my life, my con artist, Mare Smith. That's the name she gave me, not her real name. And again, I want to punch myself in the face even saying this out loud, but it's the truth. I was helping an Irish heiress get her inheritance. But it's so much more complicated and nuanced than that. She quickly became like a sister to me. At the time, I was going through stuff with my family. I'd come out as gay. I hadn't been home for Christmas in 8 years. I was kind of disowned. She used that as an emotional in into my psyche. She said that she was disowned too by her family back in Ireland because they're trying to get her disinherited. And she waved all the red flags that she was a con artist. I just didn't know what they were, and I fell for all of them. She would show me texts and emails from her cousins Fintan and Dermot and Tristan and her uncle Patridge Clark, and there's this 25 million euro inheritance. He dies, and she's using the red flag of technology that I write about in the book, showing me digital screens, showing me her phone. How many times has someone held up their phone and said, "Hey, look what so-and-so just texted"? Did you ever think it wasn't so-and-so, that it was some character this person invented to sell you a story? No, no one thinks that, but you should. I fell for all of them. And eventually, very, very quickly, I loved her like a sister. I loved her as much as any gay man can love a woman. And we were ending phone calls with, I love you, because we were two discarded souls here in Los Angeles. Our families didn't want us. So we kind of clung together. And people ask me all the time, how does someone like you're a smart guy, how did you get conned? And I say this again and again in the book. Con artists don't outsmart you. Con artists outfeel you. They use your emotions. They tap into this emotional need you have for something. And once you're making decisions with your heart and not your head, you're as good as conned.
Well, we'll get to some of those red flags because I think they're pretty fascinating. I just want to get a sense of who you turned to for help initially. Did you find there were even resources on this topic when you were going through it?
Yes and no, but mainly no. I started reading voraciously a lot of books about con artists, and they all kind of felt like they were victim shaming. All the writers of these other con books are like, you know, th- it was in between the lines victim shaming. One even admits in the second chapter of a bestseller, I'm not going to name the name, but it offended me. The writer writes, "Well, I've never been conned, and I don't know any con artists personally." And I'm like, well, la dee da for you. Well, let me tell you, and I write this in the book. Here's some news from the front lines. Con artists are everywhere. And the only reason you don't know a con artist is a con artist is because they haven't conned you yet, but they're probably conning other people you know. It's embarrassing to admit you fell for a con. And they use another red flag I write about, the TMI technique. You meet a con artist, they tell you a lot of personal details about themselves very quickly. They tell you their deep, dark secrets for two reasons. Number one, it makes you think, this person must really trust me. And then number two, you think, well, I can trust them. And they start to extract your deep, dark secrets from you. Only thing, their secrets are fake, yours are real. So by the time they get your money, you don't want to go to police because you don't want your deep dark secrets ending up in a police report or court records or court transcripts. So that's how they get you to stay silent, and your silence enables them to con the other person and the other person and the other person.
Well, you touched on police earlier, Jonathan. I mean, what role do police play here? I know you wrote about several notable con artist instances where the victim really had to, is it fair to say, go above and beyond to prove they were being victimized? Is there any critical flaw to how police go about this? How do you see police in this conversation?
When you go to police, police initially turned me away. I went and told them I got conned. They said it's not a crime because I gave her the money. And there's the inclination to believe they must be correct. They got the uniform, they got the badge, they must know what they're talking about, but they don't. The thing of it is, law enforcement is overwhelmed. They have murders and robberies and rapes to deal with. They have people lying in pools of blood, calling on them to help. So when you come in crying, boo hoo, I got conned, your case is relegated. 9 out of 10 times they will not take a police report, and they send you on your way and say, go pursue this, go hire a lawyer and sue them, go to the civil court system. But listen, anything in most states over $1,000 taken based on lies or deceit is a felony. It is a crime punishable by years in jail. You just can't go to police willy-nilly. You got to build a case. You have to go in there with a narrative, with an affidavit, with witness statements, with tons of evidence that you have to pull a Vanna White and present the evidence and tell the story. You have to be prepared. You have to be rehearsed. You can't just be boo-hoo because they will turn you away. They turned me away, but I pushed back. And in the book, I show victims how to push back.
Well, I'm not going to ask you to give away all the red flags that you outline in this book, but can you share a couple with our listeners? What were the major ones that you want to kind of outline here?
I would say the top 3 red flags. Now, individually, each red flag doesn't mean you're dealing with a con artist necessarily, but when they start to add up 2, 3, 4 red flags, be suspicious and consider cutting ties. Red flag number 1, by far, every con artist will enter your life, most likely, offering to help you. Who doesn't love a helper, right? A stranger, a new neighbor, a new boyfriend, new girlfriend, new coworker, they show up, they quickly figure out what your problem is, and they offer to help you. So you're naturally going to be grateful, you're naturally going to love them, you're naturally going to let them in your life. Who doesn't love a helper? So be suspicious. Red flag number 2, stories from faraway places. Every professional con artist today will snow you with stories from faraway places. Why? Because it gives them credentials, it gives them legitimacy, and stories from faraway places are hard to prove false. So human nature being what it is, if you can't prove something false, you just think it must be true. Another huge red flag, I call it in the book, drama, drama, drama. You meet someone who turns out to be a con artist, but you don't know. So they got you, they're helping you, they're too kind, too quick, they're snowing you with stories from faraway places. Keep in mind, these people are infinitely charismatic, they're fun to be with, they're lovable, they seem so kind, they're very educated, and that's what they want. But then the drama starts, right? If you've got any drama in your life, they will create more drama. And it's all lies. If you've got a boyfriend you're trying to avoid, they'll say, hey, I saw your boyfriend outside your house. He was parked outside your house. Like, that's not true. But if you're the woman or the man scared of the boyfriend outside your house, you immediately like, oh my God, I need help. And once you have that kind of reaction to drama, you're so much more easy to manipulate because when you're not thinking with your head, thinking with your heart, or worse, you're thinking out of fear, con artists don't outsmart you, they outfeel you. And fear is a heck of a feeling and makes you very malleable. So yeah, those are, I would say, the top 3 red flags con artists use to trick money out of their marks.
Well, for folks who maybe have missed some of those early red flags, what advice would you give for people in the midst of their own con artist nightmares? Who should they turn to? What should maybe their first steps be?
If the money has exchanged hands, that's the crime. If you're in the midst of a con, and again, I have this fantasy frequently, knowing what I know now, if I met Mare, my con artist, would I know she's a con artist? And the answer is yeah, within the first 20 minutes of talking to her, because she was just waving all the flags, the stories from faraway places, the offer to help, the too kind, too quick, the drama, drama, drama. She was waving them all. I would have spotted her quickly. If you're in the midst of a con and the con artist doesn't know that you know, start recording the phone calls, start getting video and audio, start gathering your evidence, because you need that for police. When you go to police, the minute the con artist is outed, and mine did this to me, they all flip the script. They all make authorities think initially, you're the bad person, they're the good person, you're the one victimizing them. A month before the criminal trial of my con artist, and this is how brilliant she is. Hats off. I'm a producer here in LA. I admire her creativity. As sickening as it is, she is a brilliant, creative woman. So, I've been pursuing this case for 2 years, and finally I'm going to have my day in court. A month before the trial, she files a restraining order against me. And I only find out about it because I got a lawyer's advertisement in the mail. This restraining order was not served. And if it's not served, it doesn't exist yet, but it's coming. And luckily, I got the ad in the mail. I'm like, restraining order? And I look it up online and I'm like, oh my God, she filed a restraining order. So I bring it to the prosecutor thinking he's going to help me, the prosecutor who, charged her with stealing from me, with grand theft. And he says, there's nothing I can do. He says, if a judge approves this restraining order, you will not be allowed in the courtroom. And I just turned white. I'm like, this is her checkmate move. He's like, but don't worry, we can let you testify over video. I'm like, well, what's a jury going to think? I'm too violent for the courtroom, so I'm doing testimony over video? Like, my case is sunk. This doesn't help my case. He's like, yeah, it really doesn't. This is a problem, but there's nothing I can do. This is a civil matter. So I hire a lawyer, and the lawyer tells me, just don't get served. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, do you have a back way in? I'm like, I'm a gay guy. Of course I have a back way in. He's like, just don't get served. So I don't answer the door. I come and go through the back way. And sure enough, just like he predicted, off-duty deputies in uniform pounding on my door at all hours, trying to serve me this bogus restraining order. But thankfully, the time ran out. The trial started. I hadn't been served the restraining order, so I got to testify in court. And she was convicted and sentenced to 5 years in jail before she could file that bogus restraining order, before a judge could approve it. But listen, 9 times out of 10, when there's a woman filing a restraining order against a man, it's a no-brainer for a judge. He just approves it. Like, that was a brilliant move on her part, but thank God I figured out a way out of it.
Wow. Well, years later, Johnathan, this might be a difficult question, but I'm just curious, like, how you think and feel about this case looking back, and do you forgive Mare at all years later?
I do forgive. You see, here's the thing, and I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but I've investigated a lot of these cases, and this is how I feel. These aren't people as we understand people to be. I've spent a lot of time interviewing an FBI criminal profiler, Candace Long, amazing woman. And she confirmed most con artists, if not all, are psychopaths. They're not like us. They don't have any feeling. They will destroy your life, walk away and destroy another life and destroy it. They don't care. They don't care. Mare, my con artist, used her own children in her scams. She pretended to have cancer for myriad reasons. When she was in high school, I heard from a guy she dated in high school. She would date college guys and tell them she was pregnant and needed money for an abortion. And they all gave her money. Con artists aren't people as you understand people to be. So I haven't really forgiven her because I don't even consider her a person. I've forgiven myself. I get why this all happened. It was meant to make me better. And it was meant, I believe, to help me shine a light and on them so the world can see and hopefully save untold numbers of people from getting conned. I don't hate her. She's like a shark. You can't hate a shark for moving through the water and eating whatever it sees. That's what they were built to do. Con artists were built to scam anyone and everyone. So the quicker you can identify them, the quicker you can just get out of their way so they can go on to the next.
Johnathan, it was a fascinating read. Thanks for hopping on.
Thanks so much for reading it. I appreciate that.
Thanks for watching. I'm Taylor Wilson. I'll see you next time.